Little low profile cooler here tonight. This is the Arctic Alpine 17 LP. Let's take a quick look. Welcome to Machines More. This was released a few weeks ago and Arctic sent by the test sample to review. Big thanks to them. As always, the reviews on this channel are independent and you can expect an objective and well-researched opinion that is not paid for. So this Arctic 17 LP is part of Arctic's Alpine 17 family. These are all simple air coolers for the LGA 1700 socket. At this point, that's your 12th gen Rocket Lake and your 13th gen Raptor Lake CPUs. The Alpine 17 is taller at 68 millimeters. The Alpine 17 CO is the same with a ball bearing designed for continuous operation. And this guy over here, the Alpine 17 LP, is the low profile version of that cooler. And it's one that's more targeted towards mini-itx builds. This guy only comes in at 42.9 millimeters, so it's very, very low profile. It's a simple cooler, and it's far away. From far away, it looks just like a stock cooler would. Just, you've got this round center base plate and a whole bunch of aluminum fins radiating out from that center. And it doesn't need insulation hardware since it's just these push pins that you just insert into the punch-out holes, and you just turn the pins counterclockwise to latch, and that's it. It's worth noting that on my test board, which is the ASUS B660 ITX board, I couldn't get the stock Intel RM1 cooler that came with the 12400F to mount. It just kept popping out with those push pins. If you tried to torque it down, it just popped back out. So I do think that has to do with the fact that the board has punch outs for the older LGA 1200 location as well. Maybe incompatible with that cooler, but this one had absolutely no issues mounting there, which was nice. It did seem a little bit odd since the base plate, it's noticeably smaller than the entire integrated heat spreader on the new 12th and 13th gen CPUs. And you can see here, right, because it's a rectangular CPU, we're only contacting the center portion of that IHS. However, it does seem to work well based on my testing, and it's pre-applied with MX4 paste, and so that's convenient because it's a good reliable paste. You don't have to independently source it or apply it. So obviously it would have been nice to test against that stock Intel RM1 cooler that the 12400F comes with. I have every reason to believe that they're going to perform similarly, but it didn't mount, so that's no good, right? So just to give you an idea of where the results are, I used a cooler that was on my previous semi-passive system already, the Be Quiet Shadow Rock LP, and I am running here with the stock 120mm fan. Obviously the form factor of these coolers is completely different, with the Be Quiet being much taller, but this is just to give you an idea of where this stacks up, and I'm testing in open air here. I think the Alpine 17 LP is completely usable here, especially if you are doing gaming only. Intel's boost algorithm continuously gave this CPU 65 watts of total package power during the CPU-based render, and that's all you're going to see on CPUs like the 12400, and likely the case with a probable 13400 on the horizon, unless your motherboard is somehow exceptional. The Shadow Rock LP is already pretty quiet here and can be run with even lower fan speeds here. Of course, this ensemble does not fit in this case, which is the SM550 from Sliger. And if you have space, you can give it a bigger cooler. You're going to see some better noises and better temps, but if you don't have space, then useless comparison, right? The Alpine 17 LP will go up to 3000 RPM, give or take some implied variance. Here I tested at 2500 RPM with this 92mm fan. That's the upper bound of where that noise is still manageable because it is high pitched, about 7.8 decibels above the noise floor. So why would you get this cooler? Well, there really is a limited use case here because your non-K chips, they come with a similar stock cooler already. And if that mounts for you, if that works for you and clips onto your board, works with your height, I think you're all good. If you're somehow height limited or you need to provide extra 5mm of clearance in your build, this then would be something to look at since the Intel RM1, it is 47mm tall, and while that's low, this is lower. And I guess the other reason is if your stock cooler stopped working, this would be a totally fine replacement because that stock cooler is not officially available as a standalone part. And it's not going to be this cheap because this price is only about $12 US, so you're really not out too much either way. So for additional clearance and a better fan, you might look at Noctua's L9i for LGA 1700. I've used the L9A version on Ryzen 5, and that's a pretty decent cooler for its height. Of course, It's a lot more expensive, around $45. But yeah, for how reasonably priced this is, and if this happens to be close to the maximum amount of clearance that you do have, this is going to be really hard to beat. So I'll leave this one linked down below. Please subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Please give a like if you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching today.